Thank you for your interest in Kapow software. In this video, I'll be demonstrating automating content migration into Easy Publish with Kapow Katalyst. This is the Kapow extraction browser. The extraction browser allows us to interact with and extract content from the website. We can extract visual components from the website, such as images or text, along with non-visual values such as metadata from the HTML or properties from the browser such as the URL. The content of interest is selected visually and mapped into a structured data object with attributes that you define. This is an overview of Kapow's content migration process. The content is extracted directly from the website or other sources with Kapow robots and stored into an intermediate database. Here, the content can be formatted, categorized, and transformed to meet the taxonomy of the target CMS. The content can be uploaded as XML by way of REST web services, SOAP web services, Sling Forms, or whatever custom API or standards-based API is provided by the CMS. Content can also be uploaded into the CMS without using an API at all, simply by loading the CMS's website into Kapow's extraction browser and mapping the content into the CMS through the UI. This is the approach that we'll use to import content into Easy Publish. This is the Kapow Katalyst design environment. The first step of the content migration process is to do an inventory of the website. The steps of the inventory robot up above were created simply by interacting with the website in the extraction browser. This robot loads each page of the website into the extraction browser and then uses the for each URL step to loop through the website and find each URL on the page. The steps that follow extract the URL from the website and then validate that the URL belongs to the current domain. The content type of the link is also extracted and saved into the database. So after the inventory robot is run, we'll have a database table of all the URLs that make up the website. This represents our to-do list for our content migration. This is the first of two extraction robots. This one's fairly simple. There's no visual component. We're simply going to query the inventory database that we just created and find all of the URLs for the resource files, such as the PDF files, JPEGs, etc. We're going to save all of those files to the local hard drive and then store the location in the inventory database table. I'll switch to debug mode now and run the robot, and here we can see each URL, each file name, and each file size as it's saved off to the local hard drive, and the file location is stored back to our database. This second extraction robot goes back to the inventory database, and this time we're going to query for all of the HTML content. We define an area within the page as an article. We're going to have a loop that goes through every article on the page, and it finds the title of the article, and that's mapped into our content object down here when I pass the step. And the next attribute is the subtitle. That's mapped into the content object. And then the article date. The next step extracts the author, and then we extract the content of the article. And now that we've fully populated our content object, we're ready to store that object into the database. I'll switch to debug mode now and run the robot, and we can see all the article attributes as they're saved into the database. Now that all of the content has been saved to the intermediate staging database, we can begin to load the content into Easy Publisher. We begin by logging into Easy Publisher. We click into Getting Started. Now we're going to query our database of articles. Our first article is populated into our content object down here to the bottom right. When I click the iterator button on the query article step, we can see that the next article is loaded, and the next, and so on. So what's going to happen when we run this robot, it's going to go to the query article database loop step, and then it's going to perform each of the steps that follow for each article in the database. So we're going to click the Add New Article button for each article, and then we're going to begin to populate the form. To do this, we simply click on the field in the form that we want to populate, right-click where the value is going to come from. So for the title, the value of the title is going to be the HTML content.title attribute. When I click on this, the inner title step is created up above, and then I create each of the following steps in the same way. I select the field and the variable that I want to populate that field with until we get to the field for the file name that accompanies this article. So I'm going to query my database of images, and we're going to get the file that's associated with this article, and then we're going to populate that image file name. We're also going to set the alternative image value, use the file name for that. Okay, so now all the fields are filled out, and the last thing is we click the Send for Publishing button, and that generates this step up above. The next set of steps update our database with the migrated flag equals to true, the new URL for the article, and a timestamp for when the article was added into Easy Publish. In this way, our intermediate database also serves as a content migration report at the conclusion of the running of this robot. I can switch to debug mode and run this robot, and it will upload all the articles into Easy Publish. If you have any questions, or you would like to see a more in-depth content migration demonstration, please use the information below to contact Content Migration Sales at Kapow Software.